Who doesn't love a summer vacation? The warmer weather, the flip-flops, the trips to far-off destinations. But what about a church vacation? That's crazy, right? Well, this year, First Congregational Church is taking a summer vacation, suspending regular services for July and August. That's 2 whole months. So you're probably thinking that this is some kind of new marketing scheme to appeal to the millennials or something cooked up by a bunch of lazy churchgoers, right? Wrong. First Congregational Church has been taking summer vacations since the 19th century, and it's all thanks to the Civil War. Before the 1800s, vacations were just for the wealthy. Elites took their grand tours of exotic locales, and estate owners had their summer retreats. Even Thomas Jefferson had Poplar Forest, described by the National Park Service as his private retreat and plantation, situated far away from public scrutiny, where he could indulge in his favorite pastimes of reading, studying, and thinking. Thinking? How many blue-collar laborers do you think could skip out of work without pay to go to their own plantation just to think? And that's saying nothing about the transportation involved at the time. Any kind of trip with the family involved loading everyone onto a horse and buggy. Do you know how slow a horse and buggy goes? By the time you got anywhere, you'd have to turn around and come home again. Just to put this in perspective, a trip from Albany to Kingston, New York takes about 40 minutes today. Well, in the early 1800s, you'd be looking at an entire day of nonstop travel for Kingston. And those beaches in Florida, well, be prepared for a few months on the road. Even when commercial train travel finally hit the scene in the 1820s, it was initially pretty limited, both in size and who could afford it, until the Civil War. Alright, so obviously nobody is vacationing during the Civil War, but armies needed to move supplies and troops quickly, which meant railroads had to expand. So by the end of the Civil War in the 1860s, railroad infrastructure had grown considerably, and that meant more people could travel to more places in a shorter period of time. So all those months in a horse and buggy to get somewhere suddenly turned into a day or two, and that made vacations well within reach of the general public, even if just for a few days, and even if it meant missing a day or two of pay. Well, it didn't take long for companies to notice that workers were returning from vacations more rested, more relaxed, and more productive on the job. So by the end of the 1800s, companies were starting to offer paid vacation time, both as an employee incentive and to boost productivity. By the time the 20th century rolled around, the tourism industry is booming. Hotels were popping up, new transportation offerings were available with the advent of the automobile and the airline industry. Even Hollywood did its part to show Albany residents all the exotic locations waiting for them just a few hours away. So that's how summer vacations became a thing in Albany society. But why would First Congregational Church decide to jump on the summer vacation bandwagon? Well, it's actually for the same reasons. The earliest mention found so far of a church summer vacation is in correspondence from the late 1800s, referencing this as a tradition specific to First Congregational Church of Albany. And it was around that time that the time frame for when this occurs was really solidified. In 1870, Independence Day was established as a federal holiday. And in 1894, Labor Day was also established as a federal holiday. So First Congregational Church used the significance of both of these days to set the endpoints of its own summer vacation. The bulletin for Sunday, July 4th, 1909 notes that the church would close for vacation after the Independence Day service in July and reopen on September 12th, the first Sunday back after Labor Day. Why? Well, just like those business owners of the 1800s, First Congregational saw summer vacation as an opportunity. Reverend Hager's letter to the congregation in the 1920s described this time as an opportunity to recharge, gain a sense of perspective, try something different, and then return in September with new life and new ideas for the upcoming church year. Remember that July bulletin from 1909? Well, the September 12th bulletin from 1909, the first Sunday back, contained the message, quote, "After the summer dispersion, we should all rejoice in the opportunity of meeting together again. Our lives ought to be the richer for even a slight change of scene or experience, and it is suggested that each make for the meeting on Friday evening some personal appraisal of vacation values. Alright, so this wasn't just go relax. This was go, relax, come back, ready to hit the ground running. And just because the church was on a summer vacation, that didn't mean it wasn't active. During most of the 20th century, First Congregational led the way in establishing joint summer services with other churches throughout the city of Albany. In the early 1900s, tent services were held in July on Delaware Avenue near what today is Livingston Park. And August services, well, those were held in Washington Park to reach totally different members of the community, with, quote, the various ministers of this city having volunteered for service. So even the church itself went on a bit of a vacation to try something different. And when you think about it, doing a partnership with other denominations is pretty radical for the 1900s. Everybody had a different theological perspective, and some denominations were more conservative than First Congregational, who had a reputation for speaking out against slavery and advocating for women getting the right to vote. By the 1950s, we formed the Uptown Summer Union Services for July and August, and under this arrangement, First Congregational partnered with Albany's Calvary Methodist Church and Madison Avenue Baptist Church to take turns offering a service each Sunday. But here's the catch. Rather than each minister preaching at their own church, each minister preached at a partner church. By the 1990s, trends in society changed again, and joint services were suspended while both the Baptist and Methodist churches faced their own obstacles. However, First Congregational Church continues to observe summer vacation with the goal of identifying new perspectives. July months in the past have seen programs such as Bible and Barbecue, where church members led an outdoor service. Also, informal roundtables where Bible topics were discussed in an open forum instead of a worship format. The church has even done a casual shorts and flip-flops summer service in the social hall, Palmer Hall. And each year for over 150 years, the congregation always returns in September, recharged, refreshed, with a new perspective, and ready to start the church year with their best foot forward. And that is why First Congregational Church takes a summer vacation.